Tampering is a huge problem for the NBA, as well as unauthorized compensation. Why salary cap circumvention is bad for the NBA? You will find out in today's video. Welcome to B-Ball TV YouTube channel. Why has tampering become an epidemic? And what are concerns around salary cap circumvention? Make sure to watch till the end to find out. Tampering has become a significant problem for the NBA. Teams are forbidden from inducing or persuading players who are under contract to other teams to join them. Under the league's rules, teams that are caught tampering face a potential range of punishments, including fines, forfeiture of draft picks, and cancellation of free agent signups. Yet, plenty of teams ignored the rules and blatantly tampered. Prove us if we're wrong, but the biggest penalty ever released was Draymond Green being fined $50,000 in August 2020. This was later laughed off and forgotten. Even so, the $50,000 penalty is a drop in the bucket. In the context of tampering investigation, the league assesses whether any teams might have tried to avoid the salary cap. The conferral of financial advantages to players or their representatives in ways that reach beyond the terms of a player's contract constitutes unlawful compensation under league rules. Legal aspects, hard to get as always. Unauthorized compensation is the same and related problem to tampering. Both are about teams bargaining with players to gain an unfair advantage over rivals. Yet, unauthorized payment is more disturbing and consequential. It concerns money from changing hands rather than mere communications. The NBA's and the National Basketball Players Association collective bargaining agreement has multiple sections prohibiting compensating players outside of their contract. Any team that avoids the salary cap can face franchise-altering sanctions. There is no evidence that the NBA is aware of any attempts by teams to circumvent the cap. However, unsubstantiated media reports that Kawhi Leonard's uncle and advisor, Dennis Robertson, demanded various benefits, including guaranteed sponsorship money from teams as part of a deal to sign up his nephew. If any team accepted such a request, it would now be at the risk of a massive punishment. But why circumventing the salary cap is damaging? Why is giving a benefit to a player in addition to those detailed in the contract and in collectively bargained documents so worrisome? It's not merely because the rules say it is wrong. The ban lies at the heart of NBA competitiveness, transparency, and order. As a contentious sports league, the NBA is predicated on each team's reasonable opportunity to compete. A credible chance doesn't guarantee success, but it promises fans that their favorite franchise has the same opportunities to be as successful as its rivals. Credible opportunity to compete is a critical ingredient that makes pro sports leagues different from other industries. Like other industries such as software, aerospace, or even media, the NBA features competing businesses that are different in all sorts of ways. Contrary to those other industries, the NBA gives its businesses, the franchise teams, a reason to exist. The New York Knicks and Chicago Bulls live because they play games governed by the NBA. No NBA, no Knicks, and Bulls. Further, the value of NBA teams is wholly tied to the league's importance as a whole. In turn, the NBA is more valuable if each of its teams is perceived by fans, consumers, and media as a viable competitor. If the NBA paid franchises due to lack of fan engagement, the league would generate less profit in broadcasting rights, merchandise, and tickets. Imagine that Donald Sterling bought the Clippers in 1981 for $12.5 million. The team got sold for $2 billion in 2014 after Sterling's ouster from the NBA. The enormous increase in the Clippers' value was hardly the result of Sterling's management courage. It reflected the NBA as a whole, raising in value due to cable TV and the broadcasting of NBA games on NBA TV, ESPN, and TNT. For this reason, NBA teams agree to follow various competition constraints that might otherwise limit their own advantage. They do so to optimize the overall health of the league, which over the long term profits them. For instance, specific teams would spend more on player salaries, especially for star players, if there were no salary cap or limit per player salary. How much capital would teams have offered free agent Leonard in such an NBA? Probably a lot more than the 3-year, $103 million deal he signed with the Los Angeles Clippers. Not to mention, Leonard was motivated by a passion for maximizing earnings. He could stick with the Toronto Raptors and profit more, but a league without salary restrictions would lead to teams trying to outbid one another. Such a dynamic would be advantageous for teams with the wherewithal and willingness to outbid rivals, but possibly make it difficult for other teams to compete. Some teams would also pay rookie players bigger salaries if there was no rookie wage scale, and some rookies would, in turn, be much more likely to hold out. The rookie wage scale was first adopted in 1995, but its adoption, rookie holdouts, were a recurring problem for the NBA. Like in 1994, when the Milwaukee Bucks drafted Glenn Robinson first overall. He asked for a $100 million contract and refused to report. The Bucks eventually softened and signed Robinson to a 10-year, $68 million deal. Robinson wasn't the single rookie from the first round of the 1994 draft to hold out for salary requirements. Juwan Howard, Carlos Rogers, and Clifford Rozier performed the same. The rookie wage scale is an evident restraint on the competition for player services. Yet by decreasing the chances for disruptive holdouts, the scale enhances the league's competitiveness as a whole. Since its approval, Steve Francis is the only major rookie to hold out. He did so in 1999 when he protested against playing for the Vancouver Grizzlies. Francis was then exchanged to the Houston Rockets. A similar logic refers to the NBA draft itself. Without the draft, the weakest teams would not be gifted a chance to land the best new players. A high draft pick doesn't ensure that a particular team will succeed. Still, it makes it more likely that weaker teams will eventually become competitive. This helps build lasting fan bases and is consistent with games being marketed to consumers as competing contests. Now, let's get back to the problem of NBA teams paying players without their contract. Such a system gives the team an unfair advantage over its rivals. The team pays a player surpassing the reach of a salary cap that restricts all teams. It also betrays the need for transparency in player transactions. Suppose NBA teams consider that other teams were negotiating hidden and secret contracts with players. In that case, teams might feel forced to do the same. This would set off a snowball effect while more and more teams break the rules. The Wolves and Joe Smith case. Are you aware of Article 13? It had been used with force by the NBA. In January 1999, Minnesota Timberwolves staff and representatives for free agent forward Joe Smith negotiated an arrangement that violated Article 13's spirit and letter. The contract was confirmed on January 22, 1999, 2 days after the NBA and NBPA had accepted a new labor deal that ended a lockout. 23 years old at the time, Smith signed a one-year contract worth $1.8 million. The signing shocked other teams' executives. Smith, a former University of Maryland rising star who was drafted number 1 overall in the 1995 NBA draft, could sign a far more profitable and longer-term deal. A year earlier, he even turned down a 6-year, $80 million offer from the Warriors. Smith had just finished a season with the Golden State Warriors and Philadelphia 76ers. He got $3.2 million and averaged 15 points and 6 rebounds per game. It was unlogical that this promising young player would, as an unrestricted free agent, agree to a pay cut after a solid season. The situation became even more perplexing after the 98-99 season when Smith once again became an unrestricted free agent. He had a strong season with the Timberwolves, averaging 14 points and 8 rebounds a game. After that, 3 teams had offered Smith more than $5 million per season. Yet Smith renewed an agreement with the Timberwolves for $2.2 million and the only year's guarantee. Why does Smith have one-year deals at well below market value? Obviously, he had agreed to take less in the short term in exchange for the Timberwolves' promise to later sign him up to a very successful, above-market value contract. The Timberwolves profited from this arrangement. The team enjoyed a bigger salary cap space to sign other players. It also got Larry Bird rights in Smith to exceed the salary cap to later sign him to an enormous deal. It was a win-win. It was also apparent cheating that undermined league competitiveness and fair play. The plan didn't materialize. Then NBA Commissioner David Stern and his leadership team, including future Commissioner Silver, discovered the Timberwolves' plot. The league then commanded a record punishment: forfeiture of 5 Timberwolves first-round picks and a $3.5 million fine. So, the rules do work at the end of the day? It's just the tip of the iceberg we have covered today. How many secret agreements are signed away from our curious eyes? We never know. But what do you think about the tampering epidemic and salary cap circumvention concerns? And how do you like our video? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss an upload and you can enjoy the excellent content we send your way.